Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the B Channel podcast, where my objective is to bless, edify, and encourage others to live their best lives. And today's topic is the power of unmuting ourselves. And I have my guest here, Latashia. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, everyone. Like she said, I am Latashia Renee. I am the host of the Unmuted Conversations podcast. I am excited to be here. I am based in North Carolina, um, born and raised, and I'm just so excited to be on the show tonight. And I'm ready to jump in, ready to have a good conversation, ready to have a good time. But I'm here.
Hey, that's all we need. You got to show up,
Awesome.
right?
hmm
Okay. So, your podcast that you just launched is entitled Unmuted Conversations. What
hmm
have you unmuted about yourself?
Girl, let me tell y'all. So first, I'll say this. That's I think whenever I first came up with Unmuted Conversation, it came straight from the Lord, because I knew that I was supposed to do a podcast, but I couldn't figure out how I wanted to go about it. I had all of these ideas, and I was like, I needed to feel real. I needed to be authentic, and so the Lord I was actually on the phone talking to my coach, and all of a sudden it just dropped in my spirit, Unmuted Conversations. And then right after that, the Lord gave me unmute your message, share your story with the world. So that's my tagline. And it really does stem from my testimony, to be honest, because I lived a life where I always wore masks. Didn't really live an authentic life. I had all of these things that were secrets, or that I was ashamed of, or was scared to bring up, because I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want people to look at me differently, because you know how we are in the church. We know how to play church. We know how to shout, dance, speak in tongue, and do all of the things. But then we go home, we still have all of these silent frustrations. We have these struggles, all of these things that we feel like we can't talk about. And so I lived a muted life. And
Mhm.
so, I decided that, you know what, enough is enough. Me, along with, all these other women that the Lord has assigned to my life, we're going to unmute ourselves. We're going to share our story with the world. And that is how Unmuted Conversations was birthed. I decided to stop being afraid. I decided, or not even just not be afraid, but to do it afraid. So if the emotion of fear started to creep up, I was still going to move forward. I was still going to share my story, regardless of how people felt about it. So that's how it birthed, and that's my unmuting story. Yes, I lived a life of fear, shame, and all of the things. But I said, oh no, we're not doing that no more. I'm unmuting myself. And it started with me. I had to unmute myself. And now I can help other women do the same thing.
Yes. Why is it so important that we do this? Why is it so important that we unmute ourselves?
Because how can you help someone else? If like, for example, I am, like you said, my show just launched just a few
Mhm.
weeks ago. And even from just the short time that I've had my podcast, the listeners have been in my inbox, even some of my guests, because some of my guests have shared their story for the first time. And they've talked about how liberating it is, how they wasn't sure if they could do it, and how they see all of these fruit. Even people who have been tuning in, they're like, oh my God, that resonates with me. Oh my God, I experienced the same thing. And these are people who never would have done it before. So it's important, because if you want to live an authentic life, you have to be
Mhm.
honest. It starts with honesty. It starts with vulnerability. It starts with transparency. And so that's why it's important. So it's important for me to unmute myself, so I can help you unmute yourselves. And then we band together, and now we're a tribe of women who are out here unmuted, unafraid, unashamed, tearing down, the kingdom of hell and darkness. And we're
Okay.
doing this together. So it's important.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. So share with us about a time when you wish that you unmuted, but you didn't.
How much time we got?
All the time you need.
Listen. Um Plenty of times. I feel like just within the last couple years is whenever I probably got the strength to speak up. But growing up, even when I think about growing up, I experienced so much trauma, from
Mhm.
being raped at 12 and 14,
Mm.
and then kind of living like this. wayward lifestyle. I was kind of like, I always thought I was like the prodigal daughter, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and it was because, but I was muted because I didn't share any of my trauma because I wanted to not get people in trouble. A lot of it was because I blamed myself. So I did not share. I
Mm.
remained quiet. And then even as I got older in life, even I got married at a young age, and the things that I dealt with in my marriage did not share in front of people. We look kind of happy. You know you can't fool everybody, but nobody had any idea of the amount of abuse that was going on behind closed doors. I wasn't telling
Mm.
anybody because again, I was ashamed, like, because I'm a leader in my family, in the church, in the world, like I'm a leader. So I wasn't sharing it. I was muted. Um, and I wish I had of, because imagine the amount of people. For one, I wouldn't have had to stay in the situation so long. Number one, because I could have received the help that I needed. Number two, I could have been possibly been a help to someone, another young woman or whatever. Like had I, spoke up about it, got out, got help, healed, and that kind of
Mm.
thing. Then I think about, there was a major incident that I dealt with in 2022 where I um, did not speak up about it. And,
Mhm.
and I'm still kind of, I'm unmuted about it now. But at the same time, I wish I had spoke up sooner. Um, I haven't mastered it because every day it's a new process. And life be lifing. We
Mhm.
still go through things all the time. So muting yourself is to me, I feel like it's a decision that we make every day. Like today, I'm gonna walk in my authentic self. Maybe tomorrow, it may not look that way, but guess what? I still have the power to decide again. And so, yeah, I haven't always made the right decisions when it comes to unmuting myself, but I can tell you that now where I am, and that's how I know it's the Lord. Um, I'm not afraid of what people think. I'm not afraid of being judged because, like Andrew Caldwell used to say, "Who are me to judge?" Like you can't judge me because your past ain't squeaky clean either. So I'm
Right.
not afraid of people judging me. I'm not afraid of the looks, the stares, any of that. And I know because God has His hand on me when it comes to just silencing the shame. And so, you know, it's been a journey to say the least. I haven't always had this kind of confidence. I haven't always had this kind of authority, but I wouldn't take nothing for the journey now, honey.
Okay. Listen,
Would not
that
trade it
was
for nothing.
so good. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with
Yeah,
us. And I love what you said about like there's another chance to choose to do that again. And it's not going to be this linear thing. Like there's going to be
right,
ups and downs and highs
right.
and lows, and
Yeah,
you got to keep practicing.
absolutely. And the key thing is that you continue to make the decision. I say all the time, even when it comes to healing, we're always healing from something. Healing isn't linear. Like today, might be a good day, tomorrow maybe not, but at the same time we're still here to fight the battle. And so it's the same thing when it comes to, I feel like, unmuting yourselves because because I even thought out, and I had to take it to the Lord. I remember whenever the Lord gave me unmuted, I said, well, Lord, I haven't completely went public with the situation that happened in 2022. I don't want to get on here and feel like battle within myself as far as, um, well, am I still muted about the situation? And the Lord, assured me, no, that's not the case at all. But we do all things in His timing. And so it gave me peace. And so, I can still get up with confidence and say, I am unmuted. Hi, I'm Latashia Renee, and I'm unmuted. I'm officially unmuted. And so, and it feels so good. When I tell you, whenever knowing that the enemy can't use your past against you, listen, you can't tell nothing because I done told it or I'm willing to
Okay.
tell it. Like what? And then not only
Yes.
that, I wrote a book. Now the devil, you gonna pay me for the hell I went through. Like I'm gonna make, you know what I mean? I'm gonna make profit off of this pain, or I'm gonna turn this pain into purpose. And so that's what I'm here. That's what I'm here for. Just to encourage women. On my podcast show, I tell them, it's kind of set up where my guests they share their story. And then, but it ain't just about airing your dirty laundry. It ain't just about bashing the people in your life or saying how people are failures or even being hard on ourselves. It's about sharing your story. And then in that, what did you learn? In that, how can you empower someone else? How can you encourage another woman not to go down the path that you went down? In telling your story, can you share what kind of strategies that saved your life? What tips? What tools? Did you read a book? What did your prayer life look like? Were you reading? That's what I want to do. It's not just so much about sharing your story, but also reaching back and getting that sister behind you or that sister that's still struggling. Now, how can we help her unmute herself too?
Yes, I love that. It's a
Yeah.
community thing. It's a
Mm-hmm.
collaboration. It's a
Yes.
group project.
Correct. Correct. We're not
So we
competing. We're not. We're collaborating. That's what it is. We're sisters. Like you said. It's about community. I'm all for that.
yes. So what blessings have you experienced in the process of learning to mute yourself? Unmute yourself, I should say.
Listen, to me, when I think about the blessings, I think about liberation. That was the first thing that came to my mind when you said that. It's about, listen, if you've ever been bound, baby, freedom is priceless. And honey, you hold
Mm.
on to that thing with everything in you. So when I think about the blessings that I have received, I don't even think about money or stuff like. I think about the freedom that I have. I think about how I can step into a room with confidence. I don't care if you know who I used to be, what I've done. It doesn't matter because I don't live there no more. I don't do those things no more. And so the greatest blessing is the freedom that I have in Christ. The greatest blessing is knowing Jesus, like for real. Not just what we heard somebody say about him, but knowing him as not just my savior, but as Lord over my life. That's what
Mm.
unmuting has done for me. It is about surrendering, but also walking in your confidence and being humble, but also knowing that, listen, God has put something on the inside of me that ain't nobody gonna take away. Can't nobody take away.
Okay.
This joy that I have, the world
Yes,
didn't
the
give
world
me.
didn't give it. The
The
world
world
can't
can't
take
take it
it
away.
away. Come on
So,
now.
so when I think about blessings, I'm telling you, my mind immediately goes to the freedom that I have, the liberation. Because I'm telling you, just a few years ago, you could not have paid me to open my mouth and say anything. Now I might have wrote it down, like I wrote a book 5, 6 years ago, but to actually speak certain things out of my mouth, nah, fam. But now this unmuted conversations, we talking about this stuff, and we talking about the hard things, not just surface level stuff. I have different shows that I want to talk about. Because there are women who are reaching out to me who have dealt with hard things. And you know what? Like abortions, like, oh, I had an abortion and now I'm healed from it. And we most of us, especially in the church world, really wherever, we have somebody in our life who've dealt with that and they're ashamed of it. And
Mm.
but I want to be in a place where I can bring somebody in to say, you did that. The Lord forgives you. All you have to do is repent. You know what I mean? And so just and then kind of walk them through what healing looks like. So that's the blessing. The blessing is saving another woman's life.
Right. That's beautiful because a lot of times, like you were saying about can't nobody say anything about you because when you expose yourself, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
worry about nobody else. You don't have to look over
Exactly.
your shoulder.
Correct.
They like you're in the light
Correct.
because when it's only when you keep things covered and veiled
Yes.
that
Yes.
people can use it against you. But if
Yep.
everybody know, baby, what you gonna tell?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I wish you would, baby. I wrote about that 5, 6 years ago. You
Right.
can't
Go
tell.
read the
You can't
book.
tell. Thank you.
It's out there.
What? It is so funny now when people used to be like, "You mean to tell me you doing all of this?" And I know what you used to do, honey. The world know. The whole
Hey.
world, because I told it. I
Okay.
told it. And you know what? And when you tell on yourself,
Mhm.
what can other people say?
Right. Because it's like
Honey.
they do took the power out of it. If anybody was going to be malicious or be
Yep.
mean spirited,
Yep.
they there's nothing they can do. It's already
Exactly.
out there.
Exactly. Like the devil, you ain't finna hold nothing over my head and hold me hostage, baby. It's out there.
Right. And that's where your peace comes from.
Oh yeah. Oh
Peace from
yeah.
confession, you know.
Listen, confession is good for the soul.
Okay. Because James
Listen,
5:16 been coming up over and over again lately. And I'm like, okay,
listen.
confession and prayer.
Oh
Confession
my
and
God.
prayer.
Oh my God. I'm telling you. And I tell people all the time, like when you like even when you come on my show, like I want you to be healed when you come because of course I don't want you to get on my show, tell your story and then you receive all this backlash. Although we do pray and we bind the spirit of backlash. I do that with my guests, but at the same time I don't want to cause any damage. But at the same
Right.
time, I want people to know that you do have somebody in your corner in addition to the Holy Spirit. But I'm in the corner, like, listen, I'm fighting with you because guess what? Like you said, it's about community. It's about finding your tribe. It's about listen, letting people know you're not by yourself. You can unmute yourself. You can tell your story, but you also don't have to do it by yourself. Like I'm here.
Yes.
I'm walking this thing out with you because I know it's scary. I know it's not easy. I know it can be fearful. I know it can be intimidating. But at the same time, baby, we doing it. Hmm.
Yes, like you doing it together, so don't have to worry about
Yes.
like feeling isolated or
Hmm.
like anxious about it because somebody's
Correct.
in it with it with them in it.
Correct. Because
Yeah.
that's a tool that the enemy uses. The enemy loves to isolate. And shame isolates. When you are in something and you feel ashamed, your immediate natural response is often isolation. Let me go hide
Mhm.
myself. Like in the Garden of Eden, what happened?
Yes.
Like shame hitting is, oh, let me cover myself. Who told you you was naked? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Shame enters in and then you try to, cover it and then it just magnifies it. And it's like, no,
Right.
we're
Being
naked and
vulnerable is
unashamed.
that superpower, you know?
Woo! Yes,
We
yes,
have to do that and just be like, okay, this is what happened,
yeah,
but I can survive, I can
exactly,
thrive, you know.
exactly, exactly. Like it is not just. I think for a long time I lived in survival mode. Listen, I'm just
Mhm.
trying to make it to the next day. But when you
Mhm.
when you move over into thriving, and that's whenever you can turn your pain into purpose, and you can live and you can help somebody else. Like I'm telling you, it's a powerful thing. It is when you
Mhm.
say it's about the power of unmuting ourselves, man. When you unmute yourself and you get into that thrive zone, unbelievable.
I
Unbelievable.
love that. Thrive zone.
Yes, that,
Y'all
that just
hear
came
that,
up.
people?
Listen, the Lord just dropped that in my spirit because I'm telling you, it's not like. And then the funny thing is that, like I said, I don't know how the Lord is gracious. He's kind because I'm a hard headed daughter, and so I'm that one. The Lord will be like, say it, and I'll be like, nah. They may not believe me or do it. Nah, what if they don't understand? But now the
Mm,
unmuted Latashia Renee,
okay.
the Lord said,
Ooh. God pray for me over
listen,
here. I'm still in the eggshell ministry
listen,
sometimes.
listen, it's gonna happen. I'm telling you because you have so much inside of you. Like, and it has to come out. You have to understand, like, your audience needs you. Your people need you. The people that the Lord has assigned to your life, they need
Mhm.
what's in your belly. It gotta come out.
Gotta birth it.
And that means you gotta push. I ain't never birthed no child, but it ain't easy. From
Right.
what I so you have to push. It may be uncomfortable, it may be painful, but you have to birth it. You can't stay pregnant forever.
Okay. Come on now.
Cannot stay pregnant forever. And that was what the Lord had to do. I've had this podcast in my spirit for at least 2-3 years. And I'm like, everybody doing a podcast. I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. Like everybody doing that. And then,
But not like yours.
thank you. Took the words right out of my mouth. Listen, the people who make ice cream, Breyers don't care what Haagen Dazs doing.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So
They
I
still
would
out
I
here
would
making
say
it.
something about food, but listen,
I love ice cream.
me too, girl. So I'm just saying, like, and and whenever the Lord gives it to you, I promise you, He'll make a way. He makes provision for it, and provision may or may not be money, but I'm telling you, I see the Lord's hand moving, and like I said, I'm fairly new, but just people who are touched by what we have going on. I remember my first episode was on maintaining healthy friendships. Honey,
Okay.
I didn't know there were so many people out here struggling in community, struggling
Baby.
with boundaries and struggling with saying, no, and like, listen, and we talked about spinning the block. Listen, you spinning the block with a friend who hurt, like, listen, that's the real thing. I didn't know. But so many people talk about how we've helped them. And then we talked about thriving with the mental health diagnosis. People feel like because they've been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, like their world is over. No,
Mm.
like, so I had a young lady who told her story for the very first time. You know how many people could exhale after that and be like, oh,
Yeah, that's me. I feel seen, right?
yes. And it's like, and that's what it's about. Like, and people, but people don't know if you don't say nothing. If you stay muted, how will people know?
Right. That's how I feel about caregiving. I've been talking more about
Yeah.
that on social media.
Hmm.
And it's like maybe they will not understand, but at least they can know. So they
Yeah.
can't say they don't know what's going on
Exactly.
in my
Exactly.
everyday life, you know?
Exactly. And then you never know because no, we're all getting older. And maybe I don't have nobody that I'm having to take care of now. But who's to say next year it won't be different? And then I have your advice, I have your tools, your strategies, the things that you share. And I'm like, yo, let me go. Let me run that back. Let me run that back.
See?
She told me that when this
Everybody.
happened, this is what I'm supposed to do. Or she said, I try this. I'm telling you, it's necessary. It's necessary to share your truth. And it ain't
Yes.
always cute. It's not always. It's not like. And I feel like when it comes to unmuting your message, it's also important not to just share highlights
Okay.
because people are living life and life be life. So
Yes.
it's important to share, like, yo, child, today, we were
Yes.
real quiet today because I was having a bad. You know what I mean? Because people want people. What I love, what I've realized is that people don't want to just see the highlights. People want to see
Yes.
the real you. Now, I ain't saying put all your stuff out there now because everybody
Right.
can't handle the unfiltered you at all times. But at the same
Hmm.
time, people want to know that you're human and
Yes.
that you sometimes you do make mistakes. So maybe even caregiving, you might not always do the right thing. Maybe you wake up and you're like, "Oh, I'm tired of this today."
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it's okay to say that. You ain't gonna go leave them, hungry. But it's
Right.
okay to say, "Oh, this is a lot."
Yes.
Because somebody next year may come back and they be like, "Oh, I'm so glad she said it because I was
I felt like
afraid
I
to say
couldn't.
it."
Like
That
you were
part.
scared to say it, but like
Yeah.
I had talked about how put on Abide, and they'll help the person calm down if they get
I saw
anxious.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy said I'll try it. I was like, oh, let me know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's taking care of his father, so he
Yeah.
posts about that sometimes. And I was like, that inspired me to want to post
Mm-hmm.
more about it. So
Yeah.
see,
I'm telling you, you gotta listen, unmute yourself. Be like, listen, at
yes,
nighttime it's rough in this house trying to get him to go to sleep.
okay.
Try this
Cause
app.
he be sleep all day,
Right.
and then at nighttime he's wide awake
Yeah.
and just keeps calling you.
Yeah.
So to settle him, put on a Abide. He can have a person talking in that
Exactly.
nice whisper voice, and he feels
Exactly.
less alone. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. But
So
imagine if you stay muted about it. Like, no,
right,
this
nobody would
sounds a
get
little
that
difficult.
blessed.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We gotta speak up. We gotta speak up. We
Yes.
have so many tools and resources and knowledge in the palm of our hands or even in the center of our heart. We have got to
Mm.
open our mouths and share, open our spirits and share what the Lord is doing, has done, will do.
Yes, that's so true. So, do you have any practical advice for first time unmuters?
Woo! Child. Yes. I would say this. Heal first. Heal. Then tell your story. I think that because if you try to unmute unmute yourself and you have not healed, you can do more damage than
Mhm.
to yourself. So I tell people all the time, even when I invite people on my show, even in everyday life, be mindful of. I don't necessarily tell invite people on my show who are in the thick of it now,
Mm-hmm.
because that can be triggering. That can be harmful to people, and that's not what we're about. We're not about that. So I would say, definitely heal, and that may look different for different people. That might look like prayer. It may look like therapy. It might look like meditation. It might, for me, it was all of that. So that may look different for it may look like journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Connecting in nature, going for a walk, exercise, but do what you have to do to heal. And then once you've healed, then to be honest, it's just as simple as opening your mouth and maybe share a little bit at a time. Don't tell everything, but tell something. You know what I mean? You don't need
Yes.
to know every single thing, but share the things that are relevant in the moment. And of course, be led by the Holy Spirit. But just allow the Holy Spirit to give you what to say and when to say it. So
Yes.
practically heal, baby. You gotta do the work, and it's work. If you have, especially if your past is if you've dealt with trauma and mother father wounds and all of those things, it can take some time, but take as long as you need. But once you have healed and you've overcome it, at that point it's just as simple, like I said, as opening your mouth.
Yes, that's the first step. You just gotta like get over that hurdle
Yeah,
of,
oh yeah.
just do it afraid and stop
I
worrying about how
posted
everybody
that
gonna
on my
think.
social media. Do it afraid. I think sometimes we give fear way too much power. I feel like it is my belief that there's a difference between the emotion of fear and the spirit of fear. Those are two different
Mm.
things. And the emotional fear, it's natural, it's human, it's okay. Now, when I allow that fear to cripple me, when I allow that fear to debilitate me, you've crossed over into the spirit of fear. And
Okay.
so, but when it comes to the emotion of fear, it's okay. So there are times whenever I'm on my podcast and I get ready to hit record, baby, I might be shaking like a leaf. But eventually, because I went on and did it, the Holy Spirit will calm me, and it's like, okay, then you flow out of your belly. But it's just
Yes.
a matter of just doing it. If you're afraid, do it anyway, because the
Yes.
Lord is going to lead you. The Lord ain't gonna have us out here looking foolish.
Okay.
He would not
That
have us out here ignorant. So
yeah, you gotta practice. That's what I'm learning. Practice.
yeah, yeah. And then you know what? What I would say too is start sharing your story. I just thought about this. You don't have to share your story with the world immediately. Start
Mm-hmm.
with your friend group, because you know how many times, just for me personally, I've had friends who really didn't, for a long time, who didn't really know me because I didn't share my life experience. And you know how many, when my book came out, people who had been knowing me 10 years did not know half the stuff that was in. Honey, my family did not know a lot of the stuff in my book because, baby, my mouth was on mute for years.
Mm.
So one thing now you don't have to do what I did and just share it in a book. But starting your friend group, like those intimate spaces, it's just as
Yes.
easily as, saying, "Hey, best friend, can I share something with you?" Like I'm struggling with ABC, or I used to struggle with, perversion or lust or homosexuality or whatever. Start there. You don't have to blast it, and then once you see that, either that person isn't judging you, or even they can
Right.
relate, or the next time becomes easier, and you can counteract the spirit of fear. So yeah, start slow.
Yeah. That's true. Like you just like you said, that's the main part. Like, can you tell the people that you know in your real life? Like start with the real life people, then gravitate, then graduate to the
Yeah,
online people. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's a great way to start, because listen, if you can get past the people that you see every day, get
Okay.
over their facial expressions and their thoughts and all, baby, getting on a Facebook Live is a piece of cake, piece of pie.
Okay.
But either way, you got to do it. because we're
Yeah.
overcome by the words of our testimony. So
Yes.
yeah,
So even more than that, like even rewind back and say, let's start with God. Can we get vulnerable with him? And then we get to other people. And then once you
girl.
that's a muscle that we have to learn to work more. Like tell God what's going on. And it's okay to tell him he's not surprised. And
Yep.
then once you get comfortable with that, then it gets easier with people.
Yep.
Period.
Correct. And I'll say this just because I was a person, I did not grow up with my biological dad. And so
Mhm.
I struggled for a while connecting with God as my father.
Right.
And so a lot of things you know, for a while, I would not share it with God
Hmm.
because for a myriad of reasons. Some of it's because some things I didn't want to hear myself say,
Mm.
like, you know, because again, shame and all of that. And so I had a problem being vulnerable with God. So if you can't be vulnerable with God, you can't really be vulnerable with people,
Right.
because tell me how that work out for you.
Yes.
But so you do have to practice vulnerability. You do have to. So what I used to do at first, I started writing my prayers, my most
Yes.
innermost, those things that I couldn't really. I was like, even you know, and we know God know all things. He know what I did. I just
Mhm.
couldn't say it. So I started by writing it, and that escalated to let me read my prayer, and
Yes.
then now I can be like, let me tell you, Jesus.
Right. You could
So
just be like, "Hey, God, XYZ happened today.
Lord, it's me
What you think
again.
about that?"
Here I go with that again. So it's a process, it's a journey, and like I said, it you know, maybe it doesn't happen overnight for everybody, but at the same time, it's a journey. But as long as you stay on the journey, you might fall off, get back up, get back on it, and you know, it's a blessing. So, whew,
Yes, that's so powerful though, because so
yeah,
many people out there are silent about so many things, and they're worried about what everybody else going to say, what somebody
yes.
down the street going to say, what their mama, brother, sister, cousin, auntie, grandmama, grandpa,
And
everybody
meanwhile,
going to
they
say.
need what's inside of you. Like I found out a lot. I was so worried about what my friends would say or what my family would say, and the whole time they needed what I had to say.
Mm,
So all this time, I'm worried about. Listen, let me tell you something. When I first shared my story, that how the Lord delivered me from homosexuality, that was
mhm,
the one thing that I felt like I would be judged the harshest for.
mhm,
Can I tell you, I had such support, I like such love, and then you know how many times people was calling me in my inbox, was saying, "Oh my God, I'm struggling with it now," or "I've struggled with it too," and your book really helped me, and how the tools, the steps that you gave, like. So we're so worried about what other people will think or how they will judge us, and the whole time they're waiting for you to open your mouth. Whole time.
yeah, because you just never know. Like you said, you unmuting yourself gives other people to unmute
Yep.
themselves. They feel
Exactly.
safe enough and
Yep.
they okay with being vulnerable because they see
Exactly.
you being vulnerable. You're
Exactly.
leading by example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whew. Yes, honey.
Yeah. So do you have any projects that oh wait, let me backtrack. Let me backtrack. Um Do you have a seed first for these listeners? Anything that they should take away from this conversation? One thing that they should remember.
um, so many things. Um, what we already talked about, but it's just the first thing that popped in my head was do it afraid. And I will reiterate that because I think fear is the one thing that keeps us silent. And so if you don't hear anything else I've said, if you don't hear remember anything else, I would say do it afraid. With your voice shaking, your hands trembling, do it afraid. Whatever your it is, whether that looks like finally going to the Father and saying, God, I'm sorry. You might be shaking. I don't know if he's gonna accept, I don't know if he's gonna forgive me. go to him anyway. Whether that looks like going to your mom and saying, this is what happened to me when I was 11, or whether it
Mhm.
looks like going to your best friend and saying, I feel this, or whether it looks like getting on a podcast show, or whatever your it is, do it. Don't allow fear, don't allow your past, don't allow your own insecurities to stop you from doing what the Lord has called you to do. And what God has called us to do is to help someone else in whatever
Mm.
capacity He has graced you to do it in. So,
Yes, like that's like the takeaway I feel too, like from this whole conversation, is that there's something on the inside of you, but it will not help anybody if you stay silent.
exactly.
So we
Exactly.
gotta remember
So
that.
speak up.
Yes. So do you have any projects that you're working on that you like to share with the audience?
I am working on, I have 2 new books coming out.
Oh.
I'm so excited. So I stay busy. And they are centered around unmuting yourselves. One of them is a resource book where I'm going to be showing you step by step how to share your story and unmute
Mm-hmm.
yourself. One is a book collaboration that I'm doing with other women, where we're doing just that. We're unmuting ourselves, sharing our story, putting it in a book. So be on the
Okay.
lookout for that this year. I'm so excited about it. And another project that I have coming up, it will be towards later in the year. So just
Mm-hmm.
follow me for that.
Yes. So how can we connect with you?
You can follow me, like, comment, subscribe on my YouTube channel and Spotify at Unmuted Conversations. That's where I drop new content. Right now, I drop new content once a week, a new show once a week, various topics. My podcast is centered around faith, family, friendship, and a whole lot of mental health. So we talk about it, all things related to those arenas, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Spotify and YouTube. So,
All right. That's Unmuted Conversations, yo, on YouTube and Spotify. All of the information about this will be in the description box below if you are watching or listening, however you're getting this podcast. I thank you so much for joining me today, Latasha. And I thank you for sharing, being vulnerable. That's just that's our superpower. We got to really just hone in
absolutely.
on that for life, just knowing that. And so
Absolutely.
just thank you for doing that. And thank everybody for tuning into this podcast episode. If this was a blessing to y'all, make sure you like, make sure you comment, leave a review, a rating, make sure you share it with somebody. And of course, follow. And if you like this, just make sure you follow me at B-Channel 27 for more content just
Yeah.
like this. But
Yeah.
until next time, peace and blessings.
Bye.
Bye.